I had no reason to suspect anything. At least that's what I told myself. The first time I felt that knot in my stomach, I shook it off. It was nothing. Just stress, just a bad mood, just Emily being Emily. But looking back now, I see it was not nothing. It was the first crack. And cracks do not stay cracks for long. It was a Tuesday night when I noticed the perfume, not hers. Hers was subtle, warm, familiar. This was sharp, floral, almost overwhelming. She walked past me after coming home late, kissed my cheek like nothing was wrong, and headed straight for the shower. I sat there, staring at the door she had just closed behind her, feeling something crawl under my skin. But I did nothing. I waited. I let it go. Then it was the phone. She used to leave it everywhere on the couch, the counter, the bed. Now it was always on her. Face down, locked. I tested it once, picked it up when she left the room. Less than 5 seconds later, she was back smiling. But her eyes were not smiling. Looking for something, she asked? I laughed it off, put it down. Another crack. I do not know when exactly I stopped trusting her. But by the time I checked her location that Friday night, I already knew I was not going to like what I saw. The restaurant she claimed she was at, nowhere near her actual location. She was across town, a hotel. I felt something break inside me. But I did not react. Not yet. I waited. Watched the dot on my screen stay there for an hour. 2, 3, when it finally moved, I was already in my car, hands gripping the wheels so tightly my nails bit into my skin. I got home before her, sat in the dark, phone in my lap, staring at nothing. My heart was not racing. It should have been. But there was just this cold, empty space where my anger should have been. The door opened, light footsteps, the smell of that damn perfume again. I stayed still. She did not see me right away. She set down her bag, pulled off her jacket. Then she turned and saw me. She froze just for a second. But that second was enough. Jesus, you scared me. She laughed, pressing a hand to her chest. Why are you sitting in the dark? I just stared at her. Let her feel it. Let her squirm. She shifted on her feet, forcing another laugh. Babe, seriously? What's with the serial killer vibes? I finally spoke. How was dinner? Something flashed across her face, caught at panic. But then it was gone, replaced by a perfect practice smile. Oh, it was great. The girls and I held up my phone, the dot, the hotel, her name on the account. She went quiet. Her lips parted slightly like she was about to say something. Then closed again. Her throat moved as she swallowed. I waited. I wanted to hear it. The excuse? The lie. The desperate attempt to dig herself out of the hole she had thrown herself into. And then she did the one thing I never expected. She smiled. A slow, lazy, almost amused smile. Then she said, well, shit, I did not respond. I just stared at her, waiting for something. An explanation, a breakdown, an apology, anything that made her seem like a real person and not the stranger standing in front of me. But she did not look ashamed. She did not look sad. She just studied me like she was trying to gauge how much I knew. Then she sighed, stretching her arms above her head like we were talking about something as casual as forgetting to take the trash out. Well, I guess we're redoing this now. Clenched my jaw. Yeah, we're redoing this now. She tilted her head. Eyes flicking to my phone. Still displaying the hotel location. So what's your plan here? Gonna yell, cry, kick me out? She crossed her arms. A smirk playing at the edges of her lips. Or do you want to sit down like adults and have a little chat about it? A little chat. I let out a breath, forcing myself to stay calm. Who is he? She rolled her eyes. Oh, come on. That's the first question. Not why. Not how long. Just who? She was toying with me, testing how much she could get away with before I snapped. I did not bite. How long then? I asked evenly. She made a thoughtful noise, tapping her chin. And a while, I wanted to throw something, smash something. But I did not. I stayed where I was. my knuckles white around the edge of my phone. I tried again. Why? That was the first time she hesitated. It was brief, but I caught it. Then she shrugged. Why not? My stomach twisted. Why not? I repeated, my voice colder than I expected. She sighed, finally dropping the act, shoulders sagging. Look, I do not know what you want me to say. I did not plan for this to happen. Okay, it just did. Bullshit. I shot back. You do not just end up in a hotel room with another guy. She huffed a laugh. I mean, clearly, you have not been trying hard enough. That did it. I stood up so fast the chair scraped loudly against the floor. She took a step back, not out of fear, but out of instinct. Like she was not used to me standing my ground. I'm serious, I said, my voice low, controlled. Tell me why. She was quiet for a moment. Then she shrugged again, like none of this mattered. Because I could. The words hit me harder than I expected. Because she could. That was it. No grand reason. No tragic love story. Just selfishness. Just a choice she made. Over and over. Every single time she lied to me. Every single time she kissed me with another man's hand still on her. I took a step back. She tilted her head. So what now? I did not know. Not yet. But I did know one thing. I was not staying. I did not answer her. Not right away. I needed a second to process what I had just heard, to let it sink in. Because I could. She was not sorry. She was not even trying to pretend she was sorry. There was no guilt, no regret. Not even an ounce of shame in the way she looked at me. She was waiting to see what I would do. As if this was some kind of game. As if I was just another obstacle she needed to maneuver around. I exhaled slowly, then walked past her. Where are you going? She asked, turning to watch me. I ignored her. Walked down the hall, into our bedroom, and grabbed an overnight bag from the closet. I was not thinking about where I was going. I just knew I could not stay here. Not with her. Not in the same space where we had built a life together. Only for her to tear it apart like it was nothing. She appeared in the doorway, leaning against the frame with her arms crossed. Oh, come on, she scoffed. You seriously packing a bag right now? That's so dramatic. I threw a handful of clothes into the bag. I do not care. She laughed. Actually, laughed. Are you really this upset? It's not like I killed someone. I clenched my jaw so hard it hurt. You might as well have. She rolled her eyes. Jesus, you act like this is some huge betrayal. I snapped. I turned to face her, stepping closer, forcing her to actually look at me. It is a huge betrayal, Emily. I trusted you. I loved you. And you threw it all away for what? Some cheap thrill. Her lips twitched. That damn smirk again. Do not flatter yourself, she said coolly. It was not about you. I felt something inside me go numb. I had spent the last few minutes trying to make sense of this, trying to understand her reasoning, trying to figure out where I went wrong. But now I saw the truth. It had nothing to do with me. She did not cheat because she was unhappy. She did not cheat because I was lacking in some way. She cheated because she wanted to, because she could. I zipped up my bag. I'm leaving. She raised an eyebrow for how long I met her gaze for good that wiped the smirk off her face. For the first time, a crack appeared in her mask. Oh, come on, she said, trying to sound amused. But there was a flicker of something else in her voice now. Something she was trying to hide. You really going to end our marriage over this? There is no marriage, I said flatly. Not anymore. Her eyes darkened. So that's it. You just going to walk away? What else is there to do? I asked. Stay and let you keep lying to me? Pretend none of this happened. She did not answer. I threw the bag over my shoulder and walked past her. She did not stop me. She did not even reach for me. But just as I reached the front door, she spoke again. You'll be back, she said. You're not strong enough to leave me? I turned the handle, opened the door and stepped outside. I did not look back. I drove without a destination. I just needed to get away from her, from that house, from the smell of her perfume that was not hers, from the feeling of betrayal sitting heavy in my chest. The streets blurred past me as I replayed the conversation in my head over and over, like picking at an open wound. Because I could. Do not flatter yourself. It was not about you. The way she looked at me when she said it, bored, amused, like I was overreacting, like I was some naive idiot who had finally caught up to the reality she had been living in for God knows how long. I ended up in front of my best friend's apartment. Tyler, the one person I knew, would tell me exactly what I needed to hear, even if I did not want to hear it. I called him once from the car, and less than 5 minutes later he opened the door, took one look at my face and said, "Tell me you did not kill her." I huffed a short, bitter laugh. "Not yet." He stepped aside, letting me in. "Okay, then whiskey?" "Yeah." I dropped my bag on his couch and sank into a chair as he poured 2 glasses. When he handed me one, he did not push, did not ask, just waited. I took a long sip. Then I told him everything. By the time I finished, he was leaning back in his chair, shaking his head. "Damn," he muttered. "That's cold." "I mean, I always thought she was a little..." He hesitated, searching for the right word. "Say it," I muttered, a little full of herself. I exhaled, rubbing a hand over my face. "Yeah, I just did not think she was." I gestured vaguely, struggling to find a word that fully captured what Emily had become. "A selfish, cheating sociopath," Tyler offered. "That works." He studied me for a moment. "So what's the plan?" "Divorce." I nodded. "Yeah. Good," he said firmly. "Do not let her talk her way out of it. I know women like her man. She does not care that she hurt you. She just cares about what she can still get out of you." I thought about what she had said as I walked out the door. "You'll be back. You're not strong enough to leave me." I looked at Tyler. "I need to make sure she knows I'm never coming back." He smirked. "Now that's the energy I like to hear." The next morning, I went back to the house. Not to talk, not to listen to her excuses, but to make a statement. I walked inside like I still owned the place. Because technically I did. Emily was in the kitchen, sipping coffee like it was any other day. She barely looked up. "Oh, look who it is," she said, smirking over the rim of her mug. "Told you you'd come back." I ignored her, walked straight past her into our bedroom. No, her bedroom now. Grabbed a pen and a piece of paper. I sat at the desk, my back to her, and started writing. It was not a rant. It was not an angry letter cursing her name. It was a farewell, a final note from the man she destroyed. A betrayed husband leaves a heartfelt letter and roses. His cheating wife is left devastated. I signed my name at the bottom, folded the letter neatly, and placed it on the kitchen counter. Then I took a single red rose from my bag and laid it on top. When I turned to leave, she was watching me for the first time since this all started. Her smirk was gone. "Wait," she said. I did not. I walked out the door and never looked back. That I did not go far. Not at first. I parked down the street, just out of sight, and sat there, gripping the steering wheel, staring at the house where my life had just ended. I was not sure why I stayed. Maybe part of me wanted to see her reaction. Maybe I wanted to see her finally break, to see something, anything other than that smug, careless indifference she had thrown at me last night. Minutes passed. The morning light stretched across the pavement. My phone buzzed once, twice, but I did not look. I knew who it was. I knew what she wanted. And then I saw her. Emily stepped onto the porch, letter in hand. The rose dangled between her fingers, spinning idly as she read, eyes scanning the page. I expected her to scoff, to roll her eyes, to crumple it up and toss it away like she did with everything else that did not serve her. But she did not. Her face changed. Slowly at first, a small crease in her brow, a twitch of her lips. Then just like that, the cracks started showing. Her breath hitched. Her fingers curled around the edges of the paper, tightening, then loosening, like she was not sure if she wanted to hold on or let go. For the first time, she looked shaken. I watched her shoulders rise with a deep breath, watched her blink rapidly like she was trying to clear something from her eyes. Then, just as quickly, she turned on her heel and stormed back inside, slamming the door behind her. I let out a slow breath. Good. I did not regret leaving the letter. I did not regret the rose. I wanted her to feel something. I wanted her to know, really know what she had lost. Not because I wanted her back. Not because I wanted to fix things. But because I wanted to make sure she understood that this was not just some petty argument she could smooth over with fake apologies and empty words. She destroyed something that could never be rebuilt. And now, she had to sit with that. I put the car in drive and pulled away from the curb. By the time I hit the main road, my phone buzzed again. I glanced at the screen. Emily, call me. I turned the phone over and kept driving. I spent the next few hours figuring out my next move. I needed a lawyer. I needed to get my name off the lease. I needed to sort through the mess she had made of our life. Tyler had already offered his couch. But I was not about to spend weeks crashing at a friend's place like some heartbroken idiot licking his wounds. No, I wanted this done fast. By midday, I had made my first call to a divorce attorney. By late afternoon, I had booked a hotel for the week. And by early evening, my phone had racked up 15 missed calls from Emily. She was unraveling. Good. I let her wait. Let her stew. Let her sit in the empty house with nothing but her own thoughts. By the time I finally answered, it was almost midnight. What? I said flatly, silence, then a quiet inhale. We need to talk. I smirked to myself. Do we? Her breath wavered. Just slightly. Please. That one word almost made me pause. Almost. I leaned back against the headboard, letting the silence stretch before answering. Fina, tomorrow, she exhaled like she had been holding her breath. Come home. I laughed. Not a chance. You come to me. She hesitated. Where? I gave her the name of a small cafe downtown. Public, neutral ground. A place where she could not manipulate me into walking through that door again. Fine. She said quietly. I ended the call before she could say anything else. Tomorrow we talk. And I was going to make sure she left that conversation knowing exactly what she had done. I arrived early. I wanted to be the one waiting, not the other way around. The cafe was quiet, the kind of place where people whispered instead of talked, where the clinking of cups was louder than the conversation. I chose a table near the window where I could see her coming, where she would have to walk toward me instead of me toward her. She showed up exactly on time. Not a minute early. Not a minute late. That was Emily, always in control, always calculated. But I could see the cracks now, the tiny shifts in her confidence. She scanned the room, spotted me and hesitated just for a second. Then she squared her shoulders, smoothed a hand over her hair, and walked over like she had not spent the past 24 hours blowing up my phone. She slid into the chair across from me, setting her purse down carefully, deliberately, as if this was some casual meet-up between old friends. You look terrible, she said, eyeing me. I huffed a short laugh. You look exactly the same. Her lips pressed together. She was not sure if that was a compliment or an insult. A waitress came by asking if we wanted anything. Emily ordered coffee. I did not order anything. I was not planning to stay long. She waited until the waitress walked away before speaking. So the letter, I said nothing. She exhaled, shifting in her seat. What was that supposed to be exactly? A goodbye? A guilt trip? A performance? I tilted my head. Did it work? She looked away for the first time, fingers tapping against the table. I do not know. She was lying. I had seen her face when she read it. I just do not get it, she said, glancing back at me. You really going through with this? Over one mistake. I leaned forward slightly. One mistake. She rolled her eyes. You know what I mean. No, Emily. I do not. My voice was steady. But there was an edge to it now. Because as far as I can tell, this was not a mistake. It was a choice. One you made over and over again. Her jaw tightened. Okay, fine. You want me to admit I screwed up? I did. I raised an eyebrow. That's not an apology. She let out a short, bitter laugh. You want an apology? For what? For having options. He stared the year. She stared back, waiting for my reaction, waiting to see if she could still twist this into something where she came out on top. Then I smirked. You know what's funny? Her expression flickered. What? I do not care anymore. Something changed in her face. A flicker of something she did not want me to see. I leaned back in my chair, stretching out my legs. I used to think I needed answers. That if I just understood why you did this, I could, I do not know, make peace with it. But sitting here now, I shook my head. I do not need to know. Because I see you for what you are now. Her lips parted slightly. And what's that? A woman who never deserved me. Her breath caught. Just for a second. Then, like flipping a switch, her entire demeanor changed. The mask came back on. She scoffed, picked up her purse, and stood. Whatever. You'll regret this. I stayed seated, watching as she turned on her heel and walked toward the door, head high, shoulders squared. But right before she stepped outside, she hesitated. She did not turn around, did not look back. Then she walked out. And I knew, in that moment, she felt something she had not expected to feel. She had lost. The moment the door closed behind her, it felt like something shifted in the air. Like the tension that had been wrapped around my chest for weeks finally loosened its grip. I did not move for a while. Just sat there, listening to the clatter of plates and the low hum of conversation around me, staring at the empty chair across the table. She was gone, not physically. Her scent still lingered in the space she occupied. And I could still hear the echo of her arrogant voice in my head. But something else had left with her. The power, the upper hand. For the first time in a long time, I had it. And she knew it. I finally stood, left a few bills on the table out of habit, and walked out. The sunlight hit differently now. It was not warm, but it was not cold either. It was real. I had not felt anything real in a long time. I did not go back to Tyler S. I drove around for a bit, windows down, just letting myself feel alone. Not lonely alone. There's a difference. Being with someone like Emily makes you forget that. She always filled the silence with noise, made solitude feel like a punishment. But now, the quiet felt like freedom. My phone buzzed again. I did not need to look. I already knew who it was. I waited a few seconds, then picked it up and checked the message. Emily, we need to talk again. I think we both said things we did not mean. I almost laughed. She really thought she could reset everything with a text. Then another message. Emily, I read the letter again. You really meant all that? After everything we've been through, she still did not get it. And then another. Emily, you see, not just walk away from 7 years like it's nothing. That was the moment I realized something. She thought she had built immunity over time. Like our history gave her permanent permission to cross lines, burn bridges, and expect me to still come crawling back. 7 years? That number used to mean something to me. But now it felt like time served. I did not reply. Instead, I went back to the hotel and opened my laptop. I started organizing the documents for the divorce. I called the attorney again, this time with more questions. I started listing out the things that were mine, the accounts we shared, the logistics she never thought I'd have the spine to take control of. Because she had always been the one who ran things. But not anymore. That night, I boxed up everything I had left at the house. Not physically, I was not going back there again. But mentally, emotionally, I started to close every drawer, every door, every piece of my life that she had touched. Old pictures, deleted her favorite playlist that she used to play when she cooked on Sunday mornings. Gone. Even the stupid Netflix queue we shared, I wiped the profile and created a new one. It was not spite. It was clarity. And in that clarity, I started remembering who I was before her, who I had been when I did not walk on eggshells, when I did not question my own instincts just to keep someone else happy. She was wrong. I am strong enough to leave. And more than that, I'm strong enough to never return. 2 days past, silence on my end, a steady stream of calls and texts from her side, none of which I answered. I was done listening. She had already said everything I needed to hear. And more importantly, everything I did not. By day 3, the tone of her messages shifted. The confidence began to crumble. The texts got longer, less sharp, more desperate. Emily, you're just going to throw everything away. You're not even going to try. Emily, I made a mistake. I admitted that. What else do you want from me? Emily, I did not think you'd actually go through with it. Emily, can we at least talk in person one last time? Please. I did not answer, not to punish her, not to hurt her. But because I finally understood that nothing she said now mattered. There was no version of this story where she came out honest. There was no twist waiting, no dramatic reveal that would make her betrayal make sense. It was all exactly what it looked like. Selfish, cruel, and deliberate. But then she did something I did not expect. She showed up. I was walking out of the hotel lobby about to grab a late dinner. When I saw her standing by the curb, she was wearing a black coat. I bought her last Christmas, hands stuffed in the pockets. Eyes locked on me the second I stepped outside. I froze. She stepped forward. I had to see you. No, I said, you wanted to see me. That's not the same. She flinched. I walked past her down the sidewalk, hoping she'd take the hint. She did not. She followed. You really think you can just erase me like I was nothing? I stopped. Slowly turned. You erased yourself the second you opened that hotel room door. Her face twisted. So that's it. I'm the villain now. I blinked. Emily, this is not a movie. There's no script. You do not get to ask for sympathy now that the audience is gone. She stood there, breathing hard, trying to keep her voice steady. I did not mean for this to happen. You did not mean for me to find out. I corrected. There's a difference. Fine. She snapped. Yes, I cheated. Yes, I lied. But you were not perfect either, you know. And there it was. The deflection, the desperate last swing before she hit the floor. I laughed under my breath. You know what? You're right. I was not perfect. I was patient. I was loyal. I was blind. And that's on me. She stepped closer. You see, not tell me none of it meant anything. You and me, we were real. Were. Past tense. I started to turn again. But she grabbed my arm. I looked down at her hand. Let go. She did. Slowly. But not before her voice cracked. I do not want to lose you. You already did. I said quietly. She did not follow me this time. I walked away. Her silhouette shrinking in the reflection of a store window until she was just a shape in the background of my life. And I did not feel angry. I did not feel satisfied. I did not feel victorious. I just felt done. I did not hear from her for a while after that night. No more texts. No missed calls. No unexpected appearances. She vanished. Or maybe she just realized the performance was over and the audience had left the theater. But that silence did not bring peace. Not immediately. The truth is, I kept waiting for the emotional aftershocks to hit me. The breakdown. The moment I'd lose it in the middle of the night, and scroll through old photos or find myself missing her laugh. That never came. What came instead was something quieter, colder, relief. I had spent so long in that relationship walking a tightrope she swore was not there. Always balancing her moods, her expectations, her silent punishments when I did not read her mind fast enough. And now that rope had snapped and instead of falling, I was finally standing. I met with the attorney again, this time to sign the first batch of papers. No fault divorce, Irreconcilable differences split assets. I kept it clean, surgical, efficient. There was nothing left to argue about. A few days later, her name popped up in my inbox. Subject, just read this. No. No, hope you re-okay. Just a PDF attached. I opened it. It was a letter typed cold, mechanical. She outlined everything. How the affair started, who he was, a co-worker, obviously. How long it lasted, longer than I thought. How many times she tried to stop. Never actually did. And how she thought she'd get away with it, because she thought I'd never leave. No, it's not a lady. Just an explanation. She convinced herself I needed. I did not reply. I forwarded the email to my lawyer, just in case. Then I blocked her. Not out of spite, but because I knew the game. She would wait a few more days, then try again. A different approach. New bait. And I was done biting. Tyler and I grabbed drinks that night. He raised his glass to me. So it's official. You re-free. I clinked his glass. Feels weird. Good weird or bad weird? I thought about that. Neither. Just unfamiliar. He smirked. Dude, you've been out of that toxic circus for what, 2 weeks? You've got time. And he was right. It was not about rushing to heal or rebound or even understand it all. It was about unlearning the weight I'd carried for so long. The kind you do not even realize you dragging behind you until it's gone. And I could feel it already slowly, like thawing after a long winter. The version of me she broke was not coming back. I was building a new one brick by brick. The final piece was not loud. There was no dramatic finale. No courtroom screaming. No last-minute tears on a rainy doorstep begging me to stay. It ended the same way all real things end, quietly. The divorce was finalized on a Wednesday. I signed the last page with a ballpoint pen that ran slightly dry near the end. Felt anticlimactic, but also perfect. That's how healing works. Not with fireworks. With stillness. The judge's stamp came down like a whisper. Done. I walked out of the courthouse alone. But not empty. Not broken. Free. She did not show. Did not send a message. Maybe she thought staying absent was the final power play. Or maybe, just maybe, she finally understood she did not have power over me anymore. 2 weeks after that, I got a text from an unknown number. You really meant it, huh? No name. She did not have to sign it. I stared at it for a moment. Smiled. Deleted it without replying. I had already said everything I ever needed to say with silence, with the letter, with the rose I left on the counter of our kitchen like a final signature on a life she shredded with her own hands. A betrayed husband leaves a heartfelt letter and roses. His cheating wife is left devastated. That was not just some line to make her feel something. It was the truth. I had loved her. I had believed in her. And when she betrayed me, I did not scream or curse or beg. I walked away with grace. That's what broke her. I moved into a new place a month later. Smaller, quieter, mine. No traces of her. I bought new furniture, new mugs, a new set of bedsheets that did not smell like her hair. One night I found the box, the one I depacked in the early days of leaving. Filled with our photos, old birthday cards, a wrinkled movie stub from our first date. I sat with it for a minute. Then I walked it straight to the trash, not out of hate, not even out of pain, out of closure. People talk about revenge like it's action, like it's getting even. But the truth is, the deepest revenge is absence. Living well, healing harder than they expected. Walking away and never looking back. As someone out there's reading this, and you're in the same place I was, in that limbo between heartbreak and decision. Hear me when I say this, the pain is real. The betrayal is sharp. But the most powerful thing you'll ever do is leave anyway. Not for revenge, not to make them suffer. But because you're finally ready to stop suffering for someone who never deserved your loyalty. This was the end of my story with her. And the beginning of mine without her.